Okay. Hello, everyone. Shavua Tov. Coming to you live from China. Okay. Everyone with me?
Yeah. What do you eat in China?
What do I need in what do I need in China? Or what do I eat in China? Eat. Mostly. Well, depends where I'm staying. If I stay in Guangzhou, where many times we stay, there's a Chabad there, and they serve meals twice a day. They serve breakfast, a very nice breakfast, and a very nice dinner, and it's fantastic. And that's also where I was for Shabbat. But when I'm in other places, like now, I'm not in Guangzhou. I'm in a different city that has no Chabad. So I bring with me. I usually, I bring instant noodle meals, things like that. And in breakfast, I usually go to the hotel lounge, and I have just fruits, vegetables. Basically, I bring some granola with me from home, so I make that. What?
Disposable dishes?
No. Let's say, so when I eat the cereal, I just make sure I'm eating it cold, and.
What do you hold about milk, Rabbi?
What?
What do you hold with respect to milk?
I drink the milk. Yes, I drink the milk.
So we presume it's from cows also.
Yes.
In China.
Yeah. Listen, I wouldn't go into.
Slovakia.
Okay.
So I'm asking.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same. Slovakia, every country you need to check, and there are people to check with. I could actually check for you. But for instance, next week I'm going to be in Germany, and in Germany I do have bread. I have let's say bagays. I have, and there are actually lists. Most Western countries, Slovakia, I don't know if that counts as a Western country, but most Western countries. Okay, for those of you watching online, I'm sorry, we seem to be having some difficulty in the connection, but we're going to continue. Okay, so we are in chapter 11. Now, hopefully you guys got my note, and if you have in front of you also chapter number 10, that will be helpful for us. But if not, we'll manage from memory. So let's recap what we had last week. So last week we had the first great battle. When I say great battle, I mean the fact that, well, how did last week's chapter start off? It started off, I'll read the beginning of chapter 10. And it came to pass when Adoni-Tzedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had taken Ai and had completely destroyed it, as he had done to Jericho, where Joshua commands the sun not to set, thus allowing them to complete the battle in one day or 2 days, this battle of this quite large region, as we saw last week, to complete this battle. Right? That was last week. You guys with me?
Yeah.
Good. What we're going to be looking for, as we read through chapter 11, we will see that it is very, very obvious that the chapters reflect each other, we'll see that there are some very obvious similarities. So we'll be looking for similarities, but at the same time we're looking for similarities, we're also going to be looking for differences. And by identifying those, we'll hopefully understand what's going on in this chapter. Okay? Okay. Yeah. Chapter 11, let's start. Just 1 second. Alex?
He's not here at the moment.
The waters of Merom to fight with Israel. Okay, up to here. Comments, questions, similarities?
It starts the same with they heard and the king.
So it starts identically. Now, not only that, it's interesting. If we go back and we looked at chapter 9, we would find that chapter 9 all start with this phrase, which is interesting.
Is it the same? Is it the same thing they heard? Seems like not.
Not necessarily, because it's interesting that you say that. No, obviously not. In chapter 9, they haven't been. They had heard about Jericho and the eye. In King 10, they heard about Jericho, the eye, and the fact that Givon made peace with the Jewish people. And in King 11, in chapter 11, they had heard. It doesn't explicitly say.
They didn't think about it.
You're saying.
Israel is not such a big country that they have to hear. If something happens, you can see it immediately.
Okay, so specifically because of what you're saying, so what is the significance of the fact that there's this repetition of, and they heard about what happened this, and then they heard about that, right? In each stage, as Paul mentioned, they're not hearing the same thing. They're hearing like the next stage. Yes?
Maybe it's to do something.
For one tribe to take over this entire region, this entire land, it is a lot. Okay, it's not a tiny piece of tiny piece of land in those days.
But it sounds.
Wait. So my question is this: what does it say about the state of mind of the nations?
It sounds reactive in the sense that whether we succeed has a bearing on what happens next, because they're making a decision as to what they do based on how the previous battle has gone.
Right, but I think that I agree. I think the point I'm trying to get to, and I'm not sure, but the fact that this phrase, I agree. It shows the degree to which I guess how much of the battle, both on the field, but also from a strategic perspective, how much of it is psychology and mentality. Because, for instance, the fact that these 5 kings last week or this week gained up together and came out to the fields to fight on the, and the only reason that the eye lost is because they left I'm talking about from a purely military perspective. The only reason that the eye lost was why? Because they left their city. Meaning why leaving your walled city, but happened in Jericho. They heard what happened in the eye. They heard what happened with the Givon, and therefore they feel, okay, naturally we would stay behind our walled city. But they're too scared. They say, okay, we have to go out and join all of us together. It says, and have the largest army we can possibly get together to try to launch an offensive and not just wait like sitting ducks behind our walls, because walls don't help. Again, today's Shomron and the Galilee and the area of you're talking about the entire north of Israel. It's a huge region. And they're all coming together. Okay, let's continue. So again, the use of this same phrase, this is a perfect, from a methodology perspective. You have 3 chapters, 3 consecutive chapters opening with the exact same phrase. Meaning to say, this is all part of the same exact line. And although we know that they're not hearing the exact same thing, we see the progression in what they're hearing and the effect that it takes on them. Okay. Let's continue. We're in verse 5. And all the kings met together. They came and camped together at the waters of Merom to fight with Israel. And Hashem said to Joshua, "Be not afraid of them, for tomorrow at this time I will deliver them up, all slain before Israel. You shall cripple and burn the chariots with fire." Okay? And we'll hear later on with Solomon that the horses that were forbidden from having many horses, were forbidden from taking horses from Egypt, and there's this connection between horses and Egypt. So you're right. you're saying that you think that's why we're told, but they made them they would be good for work, but they would not be good for warfare. So Galia, you're asking, I think, an obvious question, which is you're getting modern weaponry, destroy it, or to make sure that they can't use this for warfare. This could be perfect. This would be a great way. Yeah. It's basically saying, it's saying a infantry army is about to get hundreds of tanks, and he's saying, well, destroy the tanks or take out their engines so they're just pretty I don't know, nice to climb on. What possibly could be the reason? So Gali.
Because this region was not.
There you go.
Exactly. Maybe
There you go. Perfect. It's a matter of topography. The War of the Southern Kings. Think of where it is: Jerusalem, Hebron. These are all in the mountains. These are mountain cities. The region where the fighting is taking place, last chapter, it's mountainous regions. You don't have chariots in the mountains, and you don't have horses. You use horses and chariots when you have plains. You have an open, flat space. Therefore, so fight. What?
For food?
Food. We can't eat horses.
It's not kosher.
Think from a religious perspective. I think.
Did they use them for idolatry at all?
What?
Did they use them for idolatry at all?
No. It's a nice try. No, it is. It's a good try. So there was no strategy. We were told from A to Z what we're supposed to do, right? And in the I, we were given a kernel of a strategy, right? God said, use an ambush. And then Joshua developed that to think exactly how many people to put in the ambush, where to make the ambush, to do two tiers and catch them as they're about to attack Yvonne and surprise them and destroy them. And we saw this as a progression of being less and less dependent on God and more independent. So I agree with you, Paul, but it seems that even that is still a gradual process. Because we will see.
Is that our answer?
Yes.
Horses and chariots?
Yes. I think it is, because we will see later on that they're not told. It seems like just in this battle. So maybe the very that they're going to encounter horses and chariots, there was the fear of they're going to be, oh great, now we have good weapons. So this first time in the future, they're not going to be told. Not every battle they're going to be told. You can't take the horses for warfare, and you can't use chariots. We will see even later on, that chariots is not the natural. That we'll see. We'll see later on a little bit more about this. But this is
horses are injured, chariots destroyed, or they just can leave them in some captured city.
No, there's no reason. No, I imagine they take them with them. They could use them for riding. They could use them for work, to plow fields, to carry things.
But now they're going to war for Northern Kingdom, and the question is, why not to put all the chariots in one captured city? Nobody's there, just lost.
Not to get too excited about getting this modern weaponry, and then with the danger of developing a sense of dependency or assumption or a feeling of might that is based on the weapons that we have. So you're burning the chariots. No, we do not need chariots. Not only do we not need chariots, and therefore we don't want chariots. Especially the very first time that we get them, that there's the fear or the danger of getting all too so excited. Look, finally, we also have chariots. So now,
that you see in front of you.
Agreed. Okay, let's continue. Where are we?
7, 8,
No,
7.
7. And Joshua and all the people of war with him came upon them by the waters of Meron suddenly, and they fell upon them. So, right, this is the exact same strategy. Right? Look at verse in verse 10. This is a big one.
I guess because we weren't given specific instructions last time, we don't have the statement, and Yeshua did as Hashem bade him to do.
There's, you're right, Nachon, but there's more than that. Look, what does it describe about the battle? It's just saying that we did battle and we won.
They left none.
What was the major event of last week's chapter? I don't know. Let's look at verse here.
I mean, that phrase at 37, that they left none remaining, is the same.
Yes, I agree. But look at verse 11 in chapter 10. And it was as they fled from before Israel and were in the descent of Bet Horon that Hashem cast down great stones from the heaven upon the region. But last week, there are still miracles. This chapter, no more miracles. That's it. By the way, I think this emphasizes why they need to destroy the chariots and horses. Because if there's a great miracle, so it becomes very clear that we won this battle because, well, there's hailstone coming down. God killed more of this last week's chapter. It's very clear God is active here in the battle, and God killed more of the enemy than we did. But this week's chapter, so this is Paul, this is the progression you talked about. Once they've won already, when you
Right.
they win a battle.
Oh,
Remember, it's. I mean, we'll see. This is not a 1 day battle. Last week's chapter, it was 2 days. The whole thing took 2 days. Okay, the 5 kings and their kingdoms and cities, they destroyed it all in 2 days. They were long days because of the whole thing with the sun and the moon, but they were long days. It's within 48 hours less, within 25, 24, 30. We'll see in a moment. It's a much larger region. So they've won the first battle, or the first stage of the battle, and this great army is starting to flee. And look, they have horses and chariots. And the natural thing to do would be, okay, get on the chariots, get on the horses, start chasing, and he says, no. You're going to continue it like as infantry. Yes, Galia.
The fact that they themselves without miracles.
Why they're coming from south. So how come they came from north? And now when you are continuing to reading...
Yes.
How they become so great army? They come to Israel so prepared and conquered almost everyone what they want. Without training, they have big training problem.
First of all, I'd say I'll give you 2 opposite answers. The first is, who's to say they're a great army? You're assuming... You're assuming that they had any skill. Maybe they had no skill. But they still won because God was with them. Maybe they went with the arrows like this, boom, like this, and the arrows hit the mark.
Everything is miracle.
Well, no, I don't know. And the second thing, the second answer is the opposite answer, which is they've been fighting for a while now. Meaning, remember, they had 2 wars before they came into the land of Israel. And it says, the number of the tribe of Judah is so and so number, Yotzei Tzava B'Yisrael, people who go army in Israel. Why is that phrase used over and over and over and over in the Torah? It means that even when they're in the desert, there's significance to the phrase, people who are part of the army. I have no source for this, But from the fact that they're referred to during the desert, where there are no wars, being referred to as being part of the army, from this I understand that there was training of some kind. Otherwise, what does it mean they're part of the army?
Doesn't it just reflect their age? We have to do our best, but our
Yes.
best might not be sufficient
Right.
to win.
Right. Okay. Where are we? Right. Yes. So we see huge difference between last week's chapter, miracle, significant miracle, no miracle. And this difference becomes much more significant when you see that everything else is so similar. These stories are being basically built identically, parallel to each other. And then suddenly when you have this difference, it makes that difference from a methodology perspective. It is so clear that these chapters are being written, they're being duplicated. So any difference that appears becomes that much more significant. And so we saw that Chatzo, at the first verse, this was the king that put together the northern coalition. So it makes sense that he obviously was a significant king, and therefore his city was the first city to be destroyed. 11, and they smote all the souls that were therein with the edge of the sword. Utterly there was not a soul left, and he burned Chatzo with fire. The same phrases appear last week's chapter, verse 12, and all the cities of these kings and all their kings Joshua took and smote them with the edge of the sword, and he utterly destroyed them as Moshe, the servant of Hashem, had commanded. Anything interesting about that phrase?
I'm sorry, can I come back to the no miracle?
Way.
Next week,
2 weeks time.
next week, I'll have to update everyone if there's a class or not, because next week I'm going to be in Germany. I think there will be a class, but I'll have to update everyone just to make sure. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, now here it's a little bit different. The kings, they're coming back to their cities.
The what?
Kings, they're coming back to their cities.
Yeah, because they fled. They fled after they started losing the war, and they go back to the security, the safety of their cities, of their walls. Right?
Yeah.
Let's continue. 13. But all the cities that stood in their strength, Israel burned. None of them, save Chatzo, only did Joshua burn. And all the spoil of these cities and the cattle and the children of Israel took for a prey to themselves. But every man they smote with the edge of the sword until they... Because this battle is the first one that's happening through completely natural means, everything from the strategy all the way till the execution, no pun intended, that it's important to come and say, what are the dangers of doing a completely human war and succeeding so greatly at it? That the people will ascribe it to themselves and to their might, and therefore no horses, no chariots. And also the leader, there's also a danger. And therefore, over here also is saying Joshua. Let's remember, Joshua's just continuing the line. He's just a continuation of Moshe, who's just fulfilling God's. You're right that Chatzo actually had more, and you can go and you can see today. You can see the ancient Chatzo. We have found it. It's been excavated for over 100 years, and they had great temples there. I think Chatzo was the one that was burned. I don't think the question is why weren't the others. I think the question is why was this one? Remember, they were commanded explicitly to burn Jericho and the Ai, but they were not. Meaning, there's no reason theoretically to burn the cities unless we were explicitly told to do so. I think maybe Chatzo, because Chatzo, I agree with you, was a very big city. We're being told that, but also Chatzo. The king of Chatzo is the one who put together this coalition. Houses in the fields, meaning that it seems that we were not supposed to burn all these cities unless we were explicitly told to do so. So I think Hatzor, because it was a great city, maybe it was a symbol of the area, like you're saying, maybe it was a capital city. Although, remember, there's different nations, but I think more because, what do we know about this city? We know that the king of this city, he's the one who organized the coalition. And therefore, that city needs to be punished more severely. Okay, let's continue. We're almost done with the chapter. Joshua made, verse 18. No, sorry. 16. And Joshua took all this land, the hills and the south country, and all the land of Goshen, and the valley and the plain and the mountain of Israel and its valley, from the divided smooth mount that goes to the reason this is an interesting point, because it sounds as if one of the other nations would try to do peace, that we would have made peace with them, even though we were forbidden from doing it. So this is an interesting point. Is this saying no one even tried, but even if they tried, we wouldn't have agreed? Or is this saying that if they tried, we would have agreed? It seems a little unclear. Yes? Oh, Galia, you wanted to say something?
Like sample to get a war with all the rest.
Well, I didn't hear the last sentence.
No, we have a good sample of the Israeli army. That's why after 6-day war, we become so strong.
Yes.
Good history.
Yes, you're right. That's the danger. That is the wait. You're right. That is the danger of a very fast and very powerful invasion. And then 6 years later, we got a smack on the face to remind us that this is not, we're not as great as we think. Yes, Galia.
When people are going to get rid of the king, and you tell them, where is this in our tradition? They spy the king to Israel when Moshe sent them. So Yehoshua, he went to Hebron.
Yeah.
Yeah, to pray to for our forefathers to help.